Hi everyone, I'm Andrew Baranski, and this video is looking at Brightspace Portfolio for educators and the documentation and feedback for student learning. So let's start with a question. Why would you want to use Brightspace Portfolio to document student learning? Well, if you've got access to it from your school or your district or board, it's a really great tool for quick, in-the-moment documentation of learning and collecting it from everywhere. One of the things I love about it is that it works on a mobile app that's free for Apple iOS or Android, and it also works via the web with integrations for both Google Drive, Office 365, or just dropping files in. They all go to the same place. So whether it's being documented on a mobile application, from a phone or a tablet, or via a Chromebook or a computer, all that evidence is going into the same place. The other piece I really love about Brightspace Portfolio is who can do the documentation. And the answer is everybody. It's set up to work for an educator in a classroom or virtually to do that documentation, put it into a student's portfolio. Really importantly, it's there for the students to take ownership and add it into their own portfolio. Via that app, they can take a picture, record a video, optionally record their voice and add an audio recording reflection and share that privately with their teacher. Or for our younger learners, especially in remote learning right now and working from home, parents can also do that documentation and share it out as well to the classroom teacher via the app or again via the web. The other piece I really love about this tool is that it's truly a K-12 and post-secondary tool. There are different modes and options for it. So there's actually, via the mobile app, a Funster mode where a student in, say, kindergarten or grade 1 or grade 2 can use a phone or tablet and do that documentation themselves. And then there's other modes geared towards our older students or parents and guardians to do that documentation and share it as well. Again, whether it's in high school or post-secondary too. So with all that in mind, let's go have a look at it right now and dive in to see what this looks like and how it works. Alright, so to start, we're going to look at the web version here. So here I am in a Brightspace classroom. Depending on your school, board, district, or organization, there's a really good chance that your class is already created for you. You're in there as the teacher, and your students have been added to your class as well automatically via your student information sync. So you can just jump into that class. One quick thing is you want to make sure it's set to being active, which allows your students to have access to the class and then for you and them to use Portfolio. Depending on your organization setup, on your class navbar, you might see something here like an icon portfolio for you and or your students to jump in. You can also always click on your profile icon and then click My Portfolio as a student to go to the ones you're in as a learner. Via this class though, so via the navbar, I'm going to click the portfolio icon. This is as a teacher to go to the portfolio documentation in my class. You should see here a list of your students in your class. Again, this won't work unless you've made your class active first. So I've got 2 demonstration students in this class. The background will actually show the most recent image for the documentation in their portfolio, which is really nice. It's a quick, easy look to see what was most recently shared. You can click into a student's portfolio and see the documentation there. So I can see an example here. This was math practice. I can see the date and time that was added to their portfolio. And I can see what was shared here. So I can click in and see this picture that was taken. Here's some math practice they were working on. Snap a quick picture via the app, click to share it with me, and then I can access it this way. You can see this one that's been reviewed already. I've got the option here as a teacher to add feedback, attach and assess a rubric, add curriculum expectations or standards and level them based on your organization's setup. The student can come back and add a reflection here themselves if they like and reflect on their learning over time, use their feedback that you're giving them. And there's also options for either you or the student/parent guardian to add categories to their work. If I click on add category, you might see some school or organization based categories, but you can also create and share your own and go to your category manager to create those in advance so your students can tag their work, which you can then later be used to filter out and organize it for you. Okay, let's jump back here and just jump, I can click off to another student here via the web. And so I can jump over to my second student here, see who I've got, click in and see this great brainstorming resource that they created and access and review that as well. If the student chose to record an audio reflection via the Portfolio app, you can actually just click play here and listen to it. There's not one on this, but we will look at that later in this video. And you can actually listen to a student's reflections on their learning. What were they thinking when they did this? What did they like? What came easy? What did they struggle with? And then you can use that as part of your feedback back to the student if you like as well. Clicking back here, so via the web-based version, I want to highlight again, this is via a laptop or computer, via a web browser, so again, the full web experience. Via the Brightspace Portfolio app, it's just documentation. So via that app, open it up, quick and easy way to snap a photo, record a video, optionally add on audio reflection, put a title on it, click upload, and then it will show up here for the educator to review via the web. Okay. Really quickly here across the top, so I've got options for settings, printing class pass cards, which would be via QR codes. This is for easier access for younger learners or maybe for shared devices to scan a QR code, log them in and get them up and running right away, or a link to log in via the app, which students will have access to here as well. You can see you can filter out by students or by evidence as an educator. If I click on evidence, it's going to show me both my students, and it has like all of your students in the class and the evidence been coming in through them via this way. I've also got options for how I want to view this. So I can view it here as a grid view, or I can flip it over to a list view to kind of get a little more screen real estate. And you can highlight what you've done here too. So you can see, has it been shared with parents or not? If your board, district, or school has Brightspace for parents and guardians enabled, you can actually click a button in Portfolio on evidence to share with the parents, which they can access themselves through the parent portal or through the parents and guardians Brightspace mobile app. You can see if you've left feedback or not, which is really helpful to see like, hey, where am I at my progress in assessment and giving feedback to my students? Have I given them feedback on this or not? You can see if it's been categorized or not, and you can add multiple categories to a single piece of evidence, and you can choose to spotlight things too and bring them to the top. Moving across here, there's an option for approving evidence. I'll come back to this in a moment here when we look at the settings, but I also have options here for filters, and I can look at my filters for my class, and then filter out in different ways. So again, if it's new evidence, I want to see the stuff that I haven't looked at yet as an educator. This is a newer option in Brightspace, really helpful. So as new things are coming in, the stuff that you haven't looked at yet as an educator, simply click on new evidence and you can look at that, see what's been shared with your parents or guardians in your class, what hasn't been, look at by category, which is super helpful, what has categories, what doesn't, and then what you've spotlighted. You can then filter out by your school categories and then check off multiple to filter out that way, or go over and look at your class categories as well. The last thing I want to highlight here on the web is looking at the settings from the web version as an educator in your class. So right off the bat here, you can see the settings pretty intuitive. Option here for use-friendly Funster avatars instead of profile photos. Depending on the age of your students, they may or may not be adding profiles, pictures to their accounts up here via their profile settings. If they're not, you want to differentiate them and kind of make it a little quick and easier to look through. You can have it default to some friendly Funster monsters for their avatars. It's really more of a younger child in elementary option, I would say. For evidence approval, you don't need to set it to approve evidence. You can have it just have students documenting or parents documenting or the teacher documenting, and having it go right to the student's portfolio. But if you want to leave it open to approve evidence and kind of have to say it comes, a student can share it or a parent and guardian can share it, but I as an educator want to review it first and decide if it's going to the portfolio or not, you can enable that here if you like, and you'll see some options for when you would have to approve versus not, okay? Personally, I think it's great to not have to worry about the approvals, just have it come in, especially now that Brightspace has added the option for you to see what evidence is new and what's not. Okay, you can save those settings there. Here's that category management. So this is really helpful. So with Portfolio as a tool, it's more a collection of learning over time from students and teachers putting into a student's portfolio. It's not a formal assignment or a task where it's like, hey, every student's doing this assignment and it's organized in this folder for me. Categories, though, help you organize and find things as you're looking for it. So if you're a science teacher and you have different units and you're looking at biology and chemistry, physics, earth sciences, and that's how you organize things and want students to organize things. You could create those categories and say, I want to see evidence of learning from biology. If it's an English or language course, you could have a writing and a reading and a media studies and oral communication categories as examples, but it can be whatever you want. Learning skills, global competencies, transferable skills. That's just kind of the things you want to track by and sort by. Put those tags in, and then the educator can add those tags, or students or guardians can add tags to those as well. And if you want to create your own custom ones for your class, you can create those here, and then they'll show up going ahead for you. All right, that's a good quick overview of the web-based version for this. Let's take a moment now and jump into what it looks like via the mobile app. Looking now at the Brightspace Portfolio mobile app version. Now I'm going to pull this up on a Apple iPhone, but this works the same on an Android device. So I'm going to start my screen recording here on my phone, and you should be able to see it on the screen there now. I'm going to highlight very quickly. If you go into the App Store, if it's iOS or Android, you'll see 3 key apps for Brightspace. Up in the top left of my phone there, the little colorful leaf is the Brightspace Portfolio app and the focus for this year. But you'll also notice there's a Brightspace for Parents and Guardians mobile app where educators can choose to share specific evidence with parents or guardians from Portfolio, among other things, and parents can access it right from the mobile app. I'll highlight this is only if your board, district, or school has this enabled. They may not at this point. And then thirdly, there is a Brightspace Pulse app, which is a quick and easy way for students, or sometimes for younger learners, parents, and guardians, to access and follow along what's going on in class as well if they don't have access to Brightspace for parents. So I'm going to click into the Portfolio app here, which again is that colorful leaf. It'll be bringing me to this screen here. Now you're going to see 3 options. You'll remember earlier in this video I mentioned there's lots of ways for evidence to be done via this app, whether it's by a student, by an educator, teacher, or by a parent or guardian. And it can be done from the classroom, out and about, or from home, if it's from remote learning or just in home in general. And these modes kind of reflect that. So you see 3 options here. You've got class device, my device, and family device. Class device is really there for if you're in a physical classroom and there is a shared device, maybe have a few iPads or tablets to be passed around the class. Class device allows students to quickly scan a QR code, or a teacher to scan a QR code that's unique to that student. It logs in automatically, so you're not taking time in the moment to log in, and then you can do that quick documentation. Family device is really if home and remote learning right now, as an example, if there's one device to go around, but there's multiple kids in the household and looking to do this documentation, family device mode is great for a few kids or a parent supporting a few children at home to quickly scan a QR code and get logged in. But I'd say most common use is going to be the My Device mode. And this is for an individual user who has their own device. So if you got your own mobile phone, it's yours, you're using it for yourself. You're going to click on My Device, sign in once, and you're there and you're good to go to do that documentation, going ahead with a picture, video, and or audio recording after the fact. Okay, so this is really good for students, parents with one child or using one device, or for educators. And on the educator version of this, they can log in with your teacher account. And when you do documentation for student learning, you'll get then a secondary option to choose which student and which class you want that to go be tagged for. Specifically, when it's a student or parent doing the documentation via their account, it's just for themselves to share to the class. So on here, I'm going to click on My Device, and now it's going to ask for your to connect to your school and using the web address used to log in. Generally, you want to not include the https:// and generally it doesn't involve a www account. You just want to use what follows after that. Oftentimes it's a school board acronym or name. I'm from Ontario and it tends to be the 4 or 5 letters of the school board acronym followed by .elearningontario.ca as an example. There's also an option to just scan code. If you remember back in the web version, there's an option to log into the app. You can get a QR code and just scan that code to find your organization and log in that way too. I'm going to go here in a minute and I'll log in with my organization and password, and then we'll look at what it looks like live. Okay, now that I've logged in with my board's login web address and also my board email and password, I can jump right into the app. And so once you sign in once with my device, when you go to open the app up again, it jumps right into the camera. So it's really nice, quick, and snappy. You can just open the app up and you'll be right there and ready to go to snap a picture, record a video. So you can see here, you've got a variety of options. Working across the bottom, in the bottom left, that little picture of a little mountain and sun, you can actually jump into your camera roll. So if you're just snap pictures quickly or record a video quickly, you can grab those things and then upload them after the fact to the Portfolio app. Moving from left to right, the white circle with a red dot in the middle is for the video option. So I could click that, start recording a video. In the middle there, the main option is a camera, so you can just click and snap a photo. And beside that, I also see an option here to flip it. So I can do a quick flip here and say, hey everyone, and take it as a selfie mode for both that camera or that video. I'll flip it back here. And so if I want to snap a photo, I'm just going to turn around quickly here and I'll head over. And I'm just going to snap a photo of this artwork here. I've got Albert Einstein and Barack Obama playing basketball. I'm going to snap that photo. And then down here in the bottom left, I can see that image was taken. So it's not uploaded yet. I've just snapped the photo. You can snap multiple photos here if you want. As an example, if I want to show you my setup here, I've got a computer and my laptop and my camera. I'll snap this photo as well. So now I've snapped two. You can see the settings option in the top right-hand corner, and in the top left-hand corner, there's a little folder. That folder is a new addition recently to Brightspace Portfolio for the app and lets you check on the status of your uploads and have they uploaded to class or not. It can be really helpful for students and parents or guardians, especially to make sure if things have uploaded successfully or not. Now, once I've snapped some photos or recorded my videos, I'm going to click on the picture, the image icon in the bottom right-hand corner. So when I click on that now, there's the two photos I snapped. Now, up in the top left-hand corner, I can click the camera to go back to the camera roll to go back to do some more documentation. Or in the top right, I'll see a number 2. That's my two photos. We've got two pieces of evidence in here. And it's a cloud icon with a little up arrow. What that is there for is to send them up and to upload them to a class. Now I could just go click, and send them up. I'm actually going to click into one of these photos here. So I'm going to go to the piece of artwork I've got and click in, and I can add a title. I'm going to go Einstein and Obama ballin'. Okay, so I can add that title in here. This is really helpful for educators, especially if the students are doing the learning, to kind of see what it is and have some idea of what's being shared. Or if the educator is doing the documentation, to do some quick acknowledgement of what it is, which helps when you can see it and find it later. Underneath that now via the app, you'll see a little microphone. This is super powerful. So I could just snap a picture, record a video, throw it up to Portfolio, and I can see that upload icon in the top right-hand corner again. But the microphone here is super powerful, and then it allows me to then add an audio reflection to this. So if it's a teacher doing the documentation, it might be speaking to what you observed when you snapped that photo. If it's a student or parent guardian, it might be a quick audio reflection. If you're working on literacy or reading development, it might be snapping something that was being read, or a picture of a page of a book, or a small little bit of text, or practicing letters depending on the age. And then you could record and actually have the student practicing that and have that documentation to come back and listen to later. Super powerful. So I just click the microphone. I can see my voice there, and so testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. I'm a big fan of these pieces of art. And click, and now I can see it saved there with that wavelength. Underneath, I can add in some optional notes. Again, this could be teacher feedback going in, or student/parent guardian adding some notes in here by text as well. And then if I'm ready to go and upload this and share it to my class, up in the top right hand corner, I'm going to click that upload icon with the cloud with the up arrow. And now for me as a teacher, what it's going to do is going to bring up all my classes so I can find the student I want to demo this for. So I'm going to click on my demo class here, and it brings up my demonstration students we were looking at before for me automatically as an educator. If this was a student account in my device and was going to a class for that they're a student in, they would just see their courses and they would pick the class to upload it to, and then it would go right to that class portfolio for their teacher to review. Again, as an educator here in the app for this account, it shows me the students. So I'm going to throw this in for a secondary demo student and click done. And then that will upload quickly. Now I can see here both are showing. And I can see I've got one to upload there, and it actually tells me right here on the phone it's finished uploading evidence and it's good to go. If I went back to my camera roll here, I can click on that folder icon up in the top left-hand corner. And I can see it has been approved and it's been sent up there. We mentioned that approved versus not approved. So if it was not approved for a student or a parent guardian, you would see that it was sitting in there waiting for approval from the teacher still, and that's why they wouldn't see it yet in their portfolio on the web-based version. Okay. I can go back here and click on the icon of the camera in the back left again here, and then see my other picture. I can click the 3 dots in the top right of the image, and I can choose to upload it right from here. I can choose to edit this if I want, or I can delete it if I don't want to share it. Or from this screen again, I can click that upload image up in the top right, search my classes again, and I'm going to throw this into the elementary students account and set that to upload as well. So that's really the app-based version in a nutshell. I'm not going to go over all the versions here, but via this, again, the My Device, you log in once and you're just good to go. You can leave the app and then pop right back in and pick up where you left off. And usually if it's been a bit of time, it'll jump you right back into that camera. Via the other versions though, so that class device is going to ask you to scan a QR code that you can get from the web-based version, either the student or the teacher to share with students or parents or guardians, or that portfolio at home mode for parents and guardians to share. Another one I'll mention too, this was more the older version. There's a second option for Funster mode in the at home or class device mode, which allows students who are, say, kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, to have a different view where it's a little fun monster that talks them through making sure they keep the device holding it steady to take their picture, record their voice, and then share that with your teacher as well. So many great options here via the app. Let's go back and look at now, when something's been shared with you as an educator, what is it like to review it and give some feedback on it? Okay, so now that some evidence has been documented via the Brightspace Portfolio app, and again, this could be done by an educator, by the student, or by a parent or guardian, and it's been shared, let's look at what it's like to review this as an educator. So back in our class here on the web, I'm going to go to Portfolio, and I'll remind you again, you can't review this via the app. App's only for documentation. Reviewing and seeing it is based the web. Now you can log in via a web browser on your mobile device, say with Safari or Chrome, and review it that way if you're on a phone. Okay, so I can see now here, I've got my 2 students. Now I can see I've got 2 pieces of evidence from both. So that's great. I got that tracking over time via the view I'm in here. If I click over to that evidence view, I will see now, oh, there's the 2 pieces that were just shared. That's fantastic. And again, I've got those different views. And if I go to filter, I'm gonna click on new evidence. And now, because I've looked at it, it's there and covered, but if there was something I hadn't reviewed, it would show up here for me in new evidence. So, looking at this here, I'm gonna click on a elementary demo student here and jump into their portfolio. And I can see it's not showing me anything. Like I've got the filter on here for new evidence. I'm gonna X that out. And now I'm on active evidence. You can also see archived portfolios, which is previous work from the student, even from previous years. Depending on your organization setup, you can actually follow along with the years for students. So one thing that's great about this, it doesn't die with the classroom or just live with the teacher. Portfolio lives with a student throughout their school years in your organization or school or board. And it becomes accessible to new teachers going ahead, which is super powerful. You can pull up deleted evidence here too. So I'm going to jump into this shot here from the student. I can see that this was just shared quickly. There wasn't a title. Nice thing for me as an educator, especially for younger learners, I can help out. So this is what I'm seeing here. I can click on the pen and I can add a title here for what it is. Okay, and click that. You can also upload an audio file after the fact. Now, it's not a recorder in here. You have to record it somewhere else. But if you want to add an audio file after the fact, you can. And so there's a quick look there at some basics for this. Again, I can add comments, a rubric, or expectations. I'm going to jump back here and I'm going to click over to our next student. So again, you want to move through your students quickly. I can click the drop down to see my whole list of students and jump to a specific student. I can go back to my class list. Or if I want to go student by student, I'm going to click over and then I can see I'm on secondary demo student here and click into this evidence. So this is the one that was just documented. Now you'll see you get the square image for the preview. If you click on it, you do get the view depending on how it was set up. So here I can click play and I can listen to that recording. Testing 1, 2, 3. Absolutely brilliant. So you can hear the student reflecting on it, or if it was you as an educator giving reflections, that's great. I can see the document here. So the student love this, the thoughts from the student on it. I can see other reflections that are coming. I could choose to add some categories here. So I'm going to say this was an example of I heard them speaking through it. So I got some oral communication out of this. And then off to the side here, I can leave some comments. Love this artwork. Great job and thanks for sharing. And click add. So now that will be shared with the student or parent guardian, visible to them through the portfolio. You'll see down here there is an option for teacher only. This is something where you can make a private note to yourself or other educators in the class. You'll see a visible option here. The visible means visible to other educators, not the student and the parent guardian. So I could toggle that on so it's just for me and make a private note. If I wanted to share this via the parent or guardian, again, keep in mind the student will have access to their portfolio and parents through the student account. If they have access to Brightspace for parents and guardians though, this will share that with them so they'll see it in that mobile app or the web when they log in with their own account, which is again super powerful. I can add a rubric here, so you can see your rubrics and add a rubric. If you pulled up, you have some in the class already, you can add it here. And then you can actually just tag off that rubric. So you can build this in the Brightspace rubrics tool and then work through that rubric and score it here based on your setup. And then you've got expectations that you can add from it. So I've got that oral communication I mentioned. So I'm just going to go speaking to communicate and reflecting on skills. And then based on your organization setup, you can have a system to level those off potentially. So really powerful here for looking at the feedback perspective for Brightspace Portfolio and making that setup invisible to students. You can see now it's here, it's highlighted that I've shared it with the parent or guardian. I've added feedback to it and I've added a category where I can see which ones I have and haven't done that for. All right, before we wrap this up, I wanted to show you what it looks like from the perspective of a student. I always find this is really helpful and something that's missed for a lot of educators is they know what it's like for them, but you're not quite sure how it works or functions for your students. So you can see here I'm in now as the secondary demo student for this class. Now if they jump into their own portfolio, now you can have this set up on the nav bar, or they can always click on their profile icon and then go to My Portfolio to jump in and see their class portfolios there. I click on the portfolio icon here from the class nav bar in this class as a student, and it'll take them to their portfolio. Now they're going to see a list of their classes here. I'm going to go to the demo class for the class we're working in. Now I can see here again, same kind of view similar to the teacher. I can just filter by my own courses or by my evidence as a student. Same kind of setup here, and I can jump between my classes here as a student, but we're looking at this demo class. One other thing I wanted to highlight, and this is true for the teacher and the students. We looked at the mobile version, the setup via the web. There's a really great options for adding via the web too, for both the student or the teacher to the student's portfolio, and it's via this blue Add to Portfolio button. So here as a student, I can click on it. Again, educator can do this from the student's portfolio as well. And when I click on this, I've got 3 great other options here for adding via the web. So I can drag and drop anything off of my computer here and drop it in. And this could be a picture or a video. It could be any kind of file, though. You can just drop that here into Portfolio. And then talking about suites of productivity tools, the really common ones in education are Google Workspace for Education and Microsoft Office 365. And I can choose to upload right from Google Drive or from Office 365 here and add files from those right to Portfolio here. These are options via the web only. You can't do that via the app itself, and so it's just good to know what is working for what. Mobile app for Brightspace Portfolio, snap a picture, record a video, optionally add audio, upload, share it to the portfolio on the web. So it's going to the same place. Via the web-based version, drop a file in or upload something from the device, or add something right from Google Drive or Microsoft Office 365. Brilliant ways to share and add. So that's in there. As a student here, I can see I've gotten feedback was provided to me via the highlight here. I don't have feedback on this one yet, but I do here. If I click into it now, as the student, I can have a quick look and see, okay, here's my work again, great. I could listen myself to the audio reflection that was listed here, or if it was audio documented by the teacher and shared, I can listen to it as a student or parent guardian. I can see their feedback here and when it was posted, which is fantastic. I can click on the rubric and expand this out to see how it was scored and the feedback on it. And then if they're using those expectations or standards, I can see how I was progressing here and what was shared as well. I can see the category was added here from my teacher. Now, if I think the teacher missed something and I want to take ownership for my learning as a student, I can add my own category as well too. So I can see these school categories. Say, you know what, I thought this was also an evidence of, let's see if there's any class categories. Nope. No class categories from my teacher. Students can't create categories, which is good to know. They have to be created by the teacher. But I'm going to say here, this was also some self-regulation for me and well-being, focusing on artwork I like. So I'm going to click that off, and now I can tag that, and that's added to this for that filtering piece again. So again, I think the filters become really important towards reporting card time. If you're doing report cards, as an educator, you want to say, hey, I'm looking at evidence of whatever it is in your course. Reading as an example, you click, and then you just see what's been captured in Portfolio for reading. Super, super helpful there. Okay, so here's a student. I can jump back and kind of close this off. Okay, logging in as a student, if you want to direct them to this, I can print off my class pass card here, which is the QR code, or click to log in the app and use the QR code to log in that way via the web. So if they're working on, say, a Chromebook or a laptop, have the phone out, scan that QR code right from here, and they can jump in without having to type in the board address or district address and their email and password potentially too. Okay, so hope this has been helpful looking at the student view and also the teacher view here for Brightspace Portfolio. Thanks for taking the time to watch and listen through this video. I really hope you found it helpful. It's a bit of a deep dive into Brightspace Portfolio, but it's such a powerful tool, and we didn't even cover in here all that can be done with it. Again, reminders, there's different options and modes there. So for Portfolio at home, on the app, great way for parents or students sharing a device to document learning for themselves and share with their classes quickly and easily without having to sign in and out all the time. That class device, if you are in the classroom, there's a shared device being passed around between students, and that Funster mode for younger learners. So if you're at kindergarten, grade 1 or grade 2, can even actually do their own documentation and share that picture and that audio recording with their teachers as well. I think Portfolio is really a brilliant and underutilized tool in Brightspace. There's just so many great ways to collect, organize, filter through learning, share with parents and guardians, potentially look at feedback, have students reflecting over time on their learning. I just think there's so many options for it. And as I'm making this right now in early January 2022 here in Ontario specifically, under lockdown with our schools closed, it might be a really great way for students who are at home and parents and guardians trying to support them as best they can, but maybe not having the time they want onto for that, to really quick do some documentation of learning and share it privately with their teacher to collect some feedback over time, and for teachers and educators to see what's happening and hear and see that demonstration of learning that's not always covered in, say, a written response. So really hope you found this all helpful. I plan to keep this channel going and making other videos that hopefully will be of use. If you've got ideas that you'd like to see or hear from me to make a video on, please drop it in the comments below on this video, and I'll look to get on that for you if we get some common responses. And if you like this video, click the thumbs up. Let me know that you enjoyed it and that you found it helpful. And if you're interested in being on top of videos as they come out in the future from me, you can click that subscribe button and that little bell to be notified when they become available so you don't miss out on them. Thanks for listening, all the best, and I hope you found this helpful.